Up a person before he or she even says a word. Barbara Roberts, author of Face Reading, How to Know Anyone at a Glance, is here now with ways that you can spot a liar by studying one's face. So, hi Barbara.
Good morning.
You literally wrote the book. So how did you become interested in face reading?
Chrissy, I was working at UCSD School of Medicine, and I was co-winner of the Human Medical Award for Research. So I took my analytical background, moved it to this 2,000-year-old science of psychologically understanding people by their character. So that's my background. I've looked at about 6,000 people and been on 50 television shows doing this.
Okay, so how do you know, with all of this put together, how do you know if somebody's lying to you?
Okay, there are a few things that have to do with body language and then their facial features. So we'll do the body language first.
Okay.
These are the ones on YouTube. If people check out my TYRA Banks show, we went into depth with these.
Okay.
A few are you're talking to someone, they keep looking away. You're talking to them, they put their hand over their mouth, meaning they're blocking the truth.
Okay.
They cross away from you, away from the center. Or the one that Nixon did, which we remember from Watergate, this is NLP. They look up, then they look to the right, up, then they look to the left, up, they look to the right, which means they're making it up as they go along.
Wait a minute, which way are you looking if you're making it up?
You're looking up to the right, then you look up to the left.
What's happening? Why would that be lying?
It has to do with the neurological function in the brain, and when we access information, we look up to the right. When we go to the past, we look up to the left. This is called NLP, and you alternate when you're lying, and it's an instinctual way that the eyes move.
So you're making up a story. So you're going
basically,
to, yeah,
so you're lying.
Okay, so
you're making it up as you're talking to someone, and this is if we're on a date, and I'm looking at you and you're doing these eye movements, then I start to wonder if you're telling me the truth. Basically.
Interesting. Okay.
But the face reading goes a lot deeper than that.
What is face reading?
Face reading is a 2,000-year-old system, and as I mentioned, it analyzes character by looking at facial features. So because I've looked at 6,000 people, I have a really large database, and I'm the only author on this topic to be trained in medicine and then also to honor all ethnic backgrounds. So the system I developed is true whether you're African American, Caucasian, Hispanic. If you're a child or an older person, it's all the same. The facial features would be, are my eyes close set? Are my teeth large? Do I have large earlobes? These are called facial features, hair color, eye color, and everything means something psychologically.
But how does it correspond? I mean, this is like DNA that you're born with, right? I mean, you're born with how far apart your eyes are set.
I'm the only author who divides this into 3 categories. The first is what you're born with. I have a narrow face, your face is strong in the jaw structure. That's what you're born with. Yeah. The second category is how you like to look, which is if I have black hair and I weave it blonde, that's our makeup, that's category 2. Category 3, we call this Botox because we're in California. Yeah. This is accident, surgery, melanoma, skin cancer. So you read what you see in a person, and you're always looking at the whole face. That's the key.
Okay, never just one of the...
No, you never look at one feature, especially when we get into these features to avoid or ones that might be dangerous.
Okay,
so you want to look at the whole face always.
Let's look at a picture of Joran Vandersloot. Now, he's a suspect in the Natalie Holloway disappearance. So let's take a look at this guy's face. Now, tell me what you see when it comes to him.
Okay, so what we're looking at, these are the features after September 11th. I work with the government, and I was given hundreds of faces from World War II spies, outlaws of the Old West, murderers, felons, you name it. And so I was looking for patterns that appeared consistently in terrorists and criminals. And so these are a few that I pulled. Now keep in mind, we always look at the whole face, especially if you're on a date, you look at the whole face. But here are some of the patterns that show someone potentially could be dangerous. So the one he has that is one of these patterns is his ears are very tiny. And ears have to do with what you're hearing and perceiving from people. Like President Obama has really large ears, tuning into the big picture, but this man has very small ears. This is also, it means if I'm saying ABC to you, he's hearing QPF, and he's distorting possibly what he's hearing. So that's just one feature to keep in mind.
This woman is interesting. The next one, Myra Hindley, she was a serial killer. She died in custody, but I mean tortured. Convicted of murderous, torturous killings of young people in England. Right. What do you see with her?
Okay, when you look at her eyes, what you're looking at, another feature, and this is one that I saw in about 40% of terrorists has kept coming up, is you have to be on eye level with the person, and you can see the white. We call this in medicine the sclera, under the eyes. So
Yeah.
basically, if I look way high, you can see the white under my eyes. This means the person is unraveling emotionally. And when I was on morning TV with about O.J. Simpson before his trial, you could see the white
And that
under
means-
his eyes.
Oh man.
Over a period of time, the person changes, and this becomes more apparent. Because the idea, Chrissy, is that the body is always recording what we're doing emotionally and spiritually and
shows.
physically. And that's what I do. I call it like a tracker in the Old West. I
You're-
just look to see what's being recorded and what it says.
Chris Brown. Let's look at Chris Brown.
So what's interesting about Chris Brown is right before he was accused of beating his girlfriend, the line that showed up was a horizontal line across the nose. Now keep in mind, we always look at multiple features when we're looking at someone, but this particular line has two meanings. One is, these are all psychological meanings. The first one is the person could be an expert in their area.
Yeah.
But the second one that's picked up on his face, because we're looking at his whole face, this is anger issues. So he has a very central face, and then with anger issues personified.
Wow.
So you always look at the whole face, but those are some to avoid if you're dating.
Well, again, the book is called Face Reading, How to Get to Know Anyone at a Glance. And you're going to be back in the 9 o'clock hour talking with Allie. So you guys are going to be talking about dating and such. So that ought to be interesting, how to size up your date, right?
Right.
Okay.
And my book's on Amazon, Face Reading, How to Know Anyone at a Glance.
Okay, Barbara,
Thanks, Chrissy.
we'll see you next hour. All
Okay.
right, guys, we're going to send it back to you now.